Follow and subscribe Stenolab India for correct pronunciation, accurate speed and clear voice. AIIMS and SSC Dictation 800 words. Exercise number 11. Speed 80 words per minute. Start. Chit funds, a popular form of informal financial services in India, have long been a lifeline for millions of people, particularly those in rural and semi-urban areas. These community-based savings schemes, where a group of people pool money periodically and the collected amount is auctioned off to participants, have provided financial assistance to people who otherwise would not have access to formal banking services. While legitimate chit fund companies operate within the law, the lack of regulation and oversight has also given rise to fraudulent schemes leading to large-scale scams that continue to plague the Indian financial system in 2025. As we step into 2025, the scope of chit fund scams in India has expanded considerably, driven by several factors, including financial illiteracy, weak regulatory frameworks, and a lack of awareness among the rural population. The sheer scale of these scams is staggering, with hundreds of thousands of people falling victim to fraudulent chit fund operators. One of the most common tactics employed by fraudulent chit fund operators is the promise of extraordinarily high returns on investments. These schemes often attract participants through advertisements or word of mouth, which portray the business as a stable and secure way to grow wealth. These scams generally offer returns that seem too good to be true, but many people, especially in rural areas, fall for these promises due to the lack of financial education or alternative investment opportunities. In 2025, a significant portion of chit fund scams is run by unregistered and illegal operators who fly under the radar by evading regulatory scrutiny. These companies promise high returns but do not have the capital to honor their commitments. In many cases, they use the funds raised from new members to pay returns to earlier investors, following the classic Ponzi scheme model. Eventually, when the flow of new participants slows down, the system collapses, leaving thousands of people stranded without any recourse for their lost savings. The role of social media in promoting these scams has also increased. Fraudulent chit funds often leverage platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp to spread their reach, using influencers or fake success stories to create a false sense of security. The ease of reaching potential investors through digital marketing has contributed to the alarming growth of these schemes, and authorities are struggling to keep up with the speed at which they proliferate. The consequences of falling victim to a chit fund scam are devastating for many families, particularly those in rural India. For many participants, these schemes represent their only hope of accessing funds for medical expenses, education, or home construction. When the scam collapses, the financial loss can be catastrophic. Often, victims lose not only their life savings, but also the trust in financial systems, which may discourage them from engaging in legitimate banking or investment activities in the future. The psychological toll is equally significant. Many participants, particularly the elderly or illiterate, may not fully understand the nature of the scam and can be left confused and disillusioned by the loss of their money. In some cases, entire communities are impacted, as people often join chit fund schemes in groups, leading to widespread devastation when the scheme fails. The Indian government has made some strides in regulating chit funds. The Chit Funds Act of 1982, along with amendments in subsequent years, provides a legal framework for the operation of chit funds in India. Under this law, all chit fund companies are required to be registered with the government and must adhere to certain guidelines regarding operations, fund management, and transparency. Addressing the issue of chit fund scams requires a multi-pronged approach. First, there needs to be stricter enforcement of existing regulations. Authorities should ensure that all chit funds are registered and their financial activities are audited regularly. Digital chit funds, in particular, need to be brought under closer scrutiny, and tighter controls should be put in place to prevent fraudulent online platforms from operating without oversight. Lastly, legal reforms should be considered to strengthen the regulatory framework around chit funds. This could include setting up a central body to oversee the industry, implementing more stringent penalties for fraudulent operators, and improving transparency in the way chit funds operate. Chit fund scams in India in 2025 represent a growing financial crisis that affects millions of people, especially those in marginalized communities. While chit funds can serve as a useful financial tool for many, the lack of regulation and oversight has created fertile ground for fraudulent schemes. The government, law enforcement agencies, and financial institutions must work together to address this issue through tighter regulation, increased public awareness, and greater financial literacy. Only through collective action can India hope to protect its citizens from the devastating consequences of chit fund scams and restore faith in its financial systems. Stop.